company that is going to be working with us in this workshop. Carlos, hello, welcome.
Hello, guys. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you also Carlos. Yeah, so in this workshop, we talked about the idea of including an AI feature into a traditional UI, right? So we are going to be working with a knowledge base that Strata provided to us based on frequently asked questions, right? A fact. And we are going to use that as our knowledge base for our AI functionality, let's say. Here we have this repository. I hope that you can see it already in the chat room. You can access it and of course download it and then play around with it as we start playing. For this case, we are not going to code actually any of the UI because the idea is not there, but rather in the LLM features that we are going to input. So let's start with the UI. Um, yeah, so the fact that Strata provided is this, right? It's of course that is in Spanish. Their company is from Latin America, and maybe Carlos, can you give us some explanation on what FlowX is and this fact?
Okay. FlowX, it's a marketing automation tool. It's a productive application, but we are also in a quite active development stage.
Okay.
Um, as I told you, FlowX is a marketing automation tool. It's an omni-channel tool where customers can plan their campaigns, what we call journeys,
Okay.
and they can choose an audience based on a segment. This segment is built with a query builder, so you can match every contact that is older than 18 years old, plus its gender, it's male, and then you, based on this segment or audience,
Yeah.
then you can select a channel, for example, email. It's a flow diagram.
Okay.
So uh, this contact or these contacts receives the email, and if they open, clicks, or if the email is bounced, then you can deliver this event to another communication. Maybe every customer that has clicked the email,
Yeah.
you would like to send another email or maybe send an SMS message or a WhatsApp message, and so you can create flows in order to create campaigns. That's the main purpose of FlowX.
Okay, makes sense. Makes sense. I guess with a visual eye, we could better explain how it works. But yeah, that was a good explanation. And the idea was that you needed some that actually that you were planning on adding some LLM functionality, right? Maybe like a chatbot or something like that into this system, right?
Yes, we are willing to create an intuitive application.
Mm-hmm.
However, using it, it's easy, but not that easy because it has many options.
Yeah.
And it would be great to have, for example, a chatbot that can help customers
Yeah.
while they are creating campaigns or maybe sending tickets and stuff like that.
Okay, makes sense. Yeah. So yeah, so that was kind of the discussion that we had with the Strata some weeks ago, and the idea it was that maybe we could try to implement something right for in this workshop around this idea of maybe a chatbot or something like an agent that could create tickets and things like that at first, right? It's just like a glimpse of what the LLM could do for you.
Mhm.
So yeah, Carlos, thank you for the explanation. And this is
You're welcome.
the fact that thank you. And this is the fact that you sent us. And here we have a lot of questions, right? Questions and answers, and these answers have some kind of markdown embedded into it, right? We have this simple UI. This is just a React application, an Next.js application. I can show it here. And we are running this view, right, where we have a FAQ, and this is loading the questions actually from this file that we have over here. Let me open it here. There are the questions, and they are on Markdown. Of course, we have this like this. Remember that this is a POC, right? So we have the questions like this just to make it easier later to use this FAQ and etc. Actually, we could have this in maybe in a production environment. You will have this, I don't know, maybe on a database or in files, etc. That will make a lot more sense. We have it here on the playing on a file that is easier for us to use and load.
Hi, Juan Cruz. Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah.
I have some connection issues, so I'm late. But hi,
Well,
Juan Cruz. Hi, Carlos. How are you? I just got a question for you. It's very
yeah.
quick. I saw that the fact was in Spanish. Would there be a problem with the LLM or not?
No, it's actually not a problem. I actually when I realized that it was in Spanish, I said, oh, okay, this is maybe going to be an issue, but I just decided to continue. And then when I tried it, because of course that we tried a little bit of what we do first, because of course for time's sake, right? And it works actually, because since we are using ChatGPT, right, for the solution, and since ChatGPT is well taught, we can say, or well learned. I don't know
Yeah.
exactly how to put it, but since ChatGPT understands Spanish and English, you can talk to it in several languages at the same time. And since it understands Spanish and English, it's okay. I mean, it can translate your answers and questions. And of course, we could build the logic in Spanish, but yeah, we are going to build the logic in English as we always
Yeah.
use. And the fact is in Spanish, but the chatbot is going to reply in English because that's what we wanted to show, right? So yeah, there is no issues
Go
with that.
ahead. Great.
And welcome, Fede. Yeah.
Thank
Um,
you.
so yeah, as I was saying, here we have this component where we are rendering all these fact questions, and just we are iterating over these questions. And then we are uh, rendering them with this markdown component. This is using React Markdown, and it's rendering the answer using Markdown, right? So we will be able, I mean, we are going to use that Markdown component to render the responses from the LLM later on, so we can exploit that functionality. Okay, so again, this is just the fact that that the Strata sent us. Here we have all the questions rendering, and also we have they provided us with this Jira project that we can create tickets, right? This is just an example, and for example, I can create a ticket. I just set these two cases in which you can create tickets. I mean, and this will be just a regular UI, right? Where you can read the fact, and maybe if the solution is not there, then you can go to the create ticket functionality to just set up some kind of ticket. And of course, you will have a login and a lot of things, right? And like authentication to know who you are, and actually a boundary to create tickets, because we don't want United unauthorized users to create tickets. So this is just a mock, and we can create everything from here. And let's say that there are users, but yeah, we just
Yeah,
run.
we get it. We don't have to kind to create a whole UI and a whole
Exactly.
application.
That's the idea. So here, let me just check that this is working. Maybe I want to change my password, so I forgot my password. And yeah, I cannot access my account, for example, right? And then I can submit it, and it's just going to redirect you there, and then you can come here, and we can see that this is working, right? We can see the ticket here where it says that I forgot my password, and I created it. Of course, that this is running my user because I'm using my API key, so it's creating the issues with my identity.
Are
Okay.
you using an LLM to do this, or this just a regular code?
No. At this point, we are just showing their traditional UI, and this is the kind of
Okay.
like the idea that we had. We want to come, and now it was the AI comes into. into play, right? We want to transform this into something with AI, right? And of course, the title is a little bit clickbaity, right? Because we could do a lot with AI and dashboards, but what first comes into mind and what is trending right now are chatbots with LLMs, right? And also chatbots and agents, where you can maybe ask for something and then it will reply. That will be a regular chatbot, and then you can just maybe create a ticket or maybe send an order or as Carlos was saying, you can create a flow or etc. Inside the application. Now we are
It's
going
like giving the LLM some tools to do stuff, rather only just answering text.
exactly, and we are going to try to show an idea on how you can explore that, right? For example, we know that ChatGPT has been doing that with their plugins and etc. And those work differently, right? They have kind of like an infrastructure, like yeah, some files where they can put whatever plugin you want and whatever API you want to run it within ChatGPT. Here we are going to do something ad hoc within our code, and we are going to use several calls to the LLM to make this work. Okay, so yeah, I'm going to change branches to the second stage of this code, and this is called the step 2 chatbot. Change branch. Okay, wait, maybe yeah, that's not the branch. This is it. Okay, amazing. This is already coded, of course, because we try to save time. And this is the new UI. Of course, that I have the frequently asked questions here in the another tab, and I have the UI, old UI there. But here we have the new chatbot, right? And let me show you. I mean, this is just again, this is a React application. So let me show you here the chat functionality where we have. Actually, let's go to the chat view. This is on the index file. So here it is. Okay. So whenever you get a new message, let's just see the component from here. Whenever you get a new message, and this new message will come from the input by the user, right? Maybe it's not the best name for this function, but it's okay. I mean, we can get it. And then whenever you get this new content input by the user, it's going to put the loading and set the messages in the local state, and then call the endpoint here that we have over here, right? The chat endpoint. Let me open that, and let's go here. Okay, so, and here is where the logic is going to play, right? And let's go little by little on this. Of course, that we are going to code here. This is not finished, right? I just have the kind of the boilerplate to play around with this. We are going to receive the messages. Of course, that we need to here are some failsafes because we need messages. But let's go with the top-down kind of idea of the solution. First, we need to ask the LLM what is going to be the following action, right? So we input some message like hello FlowX. I want to know how to maybe I want to know what are the key functionalities in FlowX, right? I could ask that. Of course, and I'm not going to send it because this is not working. We have to code a little bit before. But after I send that message, I will have this message over here in this body, and I will have to decide what is my following action, right? So this following action function is going to be some chat completion, right? We are using the chat completions API, the one that we use in the second workshop. And we are going to ask the LLM for something, right? We have to fill this. Of course, that we are going to have a system message and then the user messages and following messages within the interaction, right, between the LLM and the user. But we have to fill this. But keep in mind that these following actions has to be something like create an incident, because that was what we could do in our standard UI, right? We can create an incident with the ticket functionality, with the create ticket button. We can also create a service ticket. This will be another kind of ticket. Maybe like the incident is when your system crashes, and the create service ticket will be when you want to change your password, let's say, something like that. And then another option could be to give a reply, right? So this instance of the LLM has to decide what is the following step
Can
between.
I ask you a question?
Yeah, fair, of course.
What will happen if the LLM fails? I mean, fails on the prompt, on the response, and it gives you an action that is not really the one you have for thought, like I don't know, create new incident or something like that.
Well, that will fail. Actually, I don't have contemplated that issue. Actually, it will just
Okay.
reply with the messages. But yeah, we
Mhm.
could have maybe instead of doing this, we could have just else here, right? So if it gives any other action that is not contemplated, it will always reply. So
Okay.
that will pick.
So mean like try to do a try catch for the response of an LLM, but not on the fail side of the code, but on the response.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we should do maybe a filtering of the responses, and check if we support that kind of response. And if we don't support that, maybe we should do another call to the API. Of course, that this is just an example.
Sure.
Again, so we are going to try to keep it as little call as
Simple. Yeah.
possible, right? So yeah. We are not going to do a lot of try and catch of error. We're just
I
going
get it.
to, yeah, try to do it without that. Okay, so we have the following action, right? It's going to be create incident, create service ticket, or maybe something else that we are going to try that. And thank you, Fede. We are going to use this as any other kind of action. And this is actually better, I believe. At least for this kind of all or nothing functional, try to POC, kind of POC. So after, right, we get one of the actions. Of course, that if we have to create the incident or create the service ticket, this is going to be easier, right? We are going to leave it for later. Let's just focus on, for now, on the chatbot, right? Or on making the LLM reply using the questions that we have in our knowledge base, or frequently asked questions, right? So after that, I'm going to try to get the applicable questions, right? So regarding the question that the user asked here, I'm going to try to see what are the questions that I could use from the FAQ, right? From any of the questions over here. Um, and then load that into the context, if it makes sense, right? I'm going to load those questions, and then I'm going to use those questions and the messages that were previously sent in order to create a chat reply. So we have this functionality here. Let me show it to you. Again, another call to the API. We have to fill here the prompts that we need in order to achieve this. And also we are going to, after we get these applicable questions, we are going to put all those questions into a string, right? Like really formatted, right? Like maybe question and answer with their indices. And then we are going to put the messages and create the completion in order to send it back to the UI. Okay, Fede and Carlos, let me know if you have any doubts, so maybe we can, or if there are any questions in the.
So far, so good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, you're okay? Okay. Let's hope that the audience is also like this.
Mhm.
So let's continue. First of all, I guess that we need to create this function, right? And create the prompt. And when I said that we have to fill this, right? We have to fill here messages, right? I mean, if you see here, this is a message. We have to put the role here, like for example, system. This is the system role, as we remember, is the as we actually saw in the second workshop. This was the message that lets the LLM know how it should behave, right? We are not going to do this here. We're actually going to go to the playground, right? We saw this UI some other times. And the idea here is that we have the system message here. this message is the one that lets the LLM knows how to reply, right? And then we are going to put the user questions here. Now, later on, we can put several more messages like assistant, user assistant, etc. So we can keep iterating on the questions and put the chat history there.
Can I
Okay,
ask you a question about this?
of course, yeah.
In your experience, or what temperature do you like? The temperature do you like to work with?
I try to leave it there on
Okay.
0.9, but
Mhm.
I actually, when I was trying this, I tried with 0.5, around 0.5, because 0.9 was giving bad results. But I try to not to touch much the temperature. I know that if you
Okay.
put a low value, it's going to give to try to give you the same answer over and over, right? Because it's going to try
Mhm.
it's going to use the most likely words, right, for when it's inferring and predicting the next word. Um, but yeah, it depends on your answer. Maybe when we try to classify, for example, between these three categories, I mean, reply or create incident or create a ticket, we could use a low temperature. But whenever we are crafting the response, I will use something like zero point 0.5 or above, right? So maybe
So if you're expecting like a really narrow answer, you would put like a low temperature, and if you want it to be free and explain itself like in a reply answer, you would like to use a higher temperature.
exactly, more or less like that. Yeah. And also, whenever you put a higher temperature, you are going to face the possibility of the chatbot inventing something or the LLM inventing, right? Like lying also. So yeah, you have to play around with that value. But yeah, it's hard actually to balance, and we are
Is
going to see that
this
in some minutes. Yeah,
is this temperature value something dynamic? Let's imagine we are on a chat context and
yeah,
the user is repeating the same question over and over because he's not satisfied with the answer. What
yeah.
happens with this temperature value?
No, this is something that you configure in the way that you ask for the. I mean, this is just a parameter more in the call to LLM, right? For example, I have it here set up at hard coded actually at 0.9. I
Uh-huh.
could actually put it here in the completion in the function, right, as a parameter, so I could use different temperature values for each one of the calls that I have to do.
Okay.
But I think that this is okay for this, right?
For
But
now, it's okay. It's a fixed value, and maybe later it could be a dynamic value. It's okay.
exactly. You could play around with it, but you have to put it down. I mean, the LLM cannot change it by its own. That's it.
All right.
Okay. Okay. So let's go back to the solution. So this was the question that we wanted to ask the LLM, right? And we are going to try to answer this. Um, Let me just format it. Okay. So we have to give some kind of system prompt to this first stage on what is the next step to do in our flow, right? So I'm going to write something here like you are an assistant task with classifying or maybe with deciding what is going to be the next step, right? You can choose of the following commands, like that. And then we can put here search knowledge base, right? That will be like we have to search the knowledge base in order to know if we can answer this question or not. Then we can create the incident or create the ticket. This was service ticket. Okay. Something like that should work. Actually, the names that you use here also impact on the way that the LLM is going to provide. It's different if I put reply or if I choose search knowledge base, right? Because this is actually giving meaning to the LLM on what this command is about. Here, anyhow, I'm going to describe what are these commands. So I'm going to give a reference. So for example, reference um, code and I'm going to list this, and I'm going to say description.
It's like the name of the variable that you're using. It
Exactly.
gives you like the LLM gives like an idea what the variable is going to contain, right? Or what it could do. So if you use like a really bad name, or contrary of what you want it to do, the LLM might get confused.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like whenever you are coding and you try to use a variable name, right, for others to understand your code, is exactly the same thing. I mean, these values matter. I mean, what you use. Okay. So search knowledge base. You should use this if you need to search the knowledge base for knowledge in order to reply. Code, create incident, description. You should is you have to create an incident, and an incident is something. Let's leave it like that. I actually have some these prompts already built, right? But I don't want to code them all here because it's going to be a lot. So let's just leave it like that. I mean, this will be the same, right? And let's see what is the reply. Maybe it doesn't work. Yeah, it didn't work, right? So what we have here is that the LLM gave a lot of explanation around the thing that the code that it chose, right? So we need to start to add guardrails or maybe more limitations on the way that it can reply. So in order to do this, some usually people what it does is to put important over here, and then you can start to list what are the important things, right? For example, one is you can only reply by using one one of the following codes.
I have a question.
Yeah,
Are
of course.
these important reference and commands, are
Yeah,
these ChatGPT reserved words, or it's something that you define on your code?
yeah, exactly. I mean, these are not reserved words. These are things that people found out that are helpful when you are communicating with LLMs, and everything with
This is
yeah.
yeah, trial and error. It's like everybody's working on this and finding stuff that works.
Exactly. And this is just experimental. I mean, the only way that you can know this is by experimenting, etc. I mean, there are a lot of guides over there and prompts and people that discover new prompts. Like, I mean, Chain of Thought that was had a huge success, and they even written these papers about it, right? This is just a prompt. It's something like, let's think step by step in order to find the right answer, something like that. And yeah, those are detected or maybe crafted experimentally.
Okay.
There are no reserved words on LLMs.
Mhm.
It's like language, so you can use whatever you want.
Okay.
Okay, so I just put here important, then choose any of these, and then avoid giving any explanation. Let's try with that and check if it's enough. Okay, now it works, right? Maybe we can try again. It could fail. It could actually fail. Now it's just replying with this, and I actually putting a dot over here that any um, punctuation. Let's see what happens. Actually, there is a comma. No, there is a point dot there. Okay, no. Maybe it was taking the dot from. Okay, that's it. And let's check something. Hello, Florex. Florex. How can I need to change my password? Let's see what it does if I do that. Okay. Hey, I didn't even put what the service ticket was, and it's working. Okay, maybe that's just lucky, but maybe Hello Florex. Um, is I seem to not be able to access OS. Let's see what it does. It should create an incident. Okay, yeah. Makes sense, right? I mean, the decisions that it's making. Of course, this is just a POC again, and in order to create a production environment, you will need to create to craft a prompt that has a lot more um, uh, guardrails and yeah and testing than this, right? But just for 5 minutes of writing, this is enough, I think. Uh,
And as we talk earlier, you also need to add some in the code. You need to add some control of what the LLM is answering. So it might not give you the answer that you want, but you control that.
yeah. So, okay, so we have the first prompt, and we are going to use this prompt for the get following action reply, right? So we put this here, and I have to escape these charts. Let me escape them. Okay, we're there. That's it. Let me remove these spaces, and that's it. Okay. Okay, amazing. We have the first prompt, and oh, I have to concatenate the messages, right? Because again, this chat completion function, what it does is to take all the messages and then send them to the completions API. The completions API is this API that you send messages and then it's going to add a new, or it's going to give you the following message by the assistant, right? That's the idea. And we have here, let me, okay, the camera broke for a second. Yeah, so here in this get following action, we have to put the system message first, because this is the first message that you have to put in this kind of, I mean, in the way that you use this API. And then you concatenate all the messages that you have in the conversation, right? This is going to include all the user messages and that the user sent, and all the following messages that the assistant is going to give, right? You have to include that everything in the context so you know what is the following action. Okay, so now let's craft the second thing, that is, what are the applicable questions, right? Because if I just run the code with this by search knowledge base and then I craft the answer, of course that ChatGPT is not going to know what to reply, right? Because I guess that these frequently asked questions are not in the base dataset for ChatGPT, right? So that will be the idea. I mean, maybe if we ask about Google, ChatGPT could answer. Or maybe if we ask about some country or something, I mean that ChatGPT is already trained on, it will know how to answer. But this is kind of novel information that ChatGPT doesn't know, so we need to include those explanations there and this knowledge inside there. So actually, the way to do this will be to use a vector database, right? Where you can store all this knowledge base in the vectorial space, and then you can search by meaning, right? You could search by, I mean, the question that you have, you vectorize it, and then actually this is called embeddings, right? And you embed it, and then you search in the database for that meaning. And then you find what are the nearest entries in your knowledge base that will approximate to that answer. We are not going to use embeddings here because we are going to keep it simple, right? Maybe we can do that in some of any of the following workshops. But in this case, what we are going to do is just list the questions that we have, right? Like just the titles of the question. I think that will be enough, because if we load everything, actually it caps the 4,000 tokens that ChatGPT has, so that won't work. And yeah, I mean, because we cannot use more than 4,000 tokens, that's the limit. So what we are going to use are just the titles of the questions. Okay, amazing. So first of all, we have to create the prompt that we are going to use, right? So let me go back to this. Okay, I'm going to store this, so I'm going to open a new one. And again, chat. And here we have to ask, I mean, the question is going to be the same. We need to know how to answer this question. And what this assistant has to do, or system has to do, is to decide which one of the questions in the list we are going to use, right? So first of all, in order to try this out, I'm going to grab the fact, the frequently asked questions, and I'm going to concatenate them. I love to use the console for this stuff. Yeah, for me it's easier. So here I have it, and then I'm going to map this into something like ID. Sorry, this is a question. So this is something like question ID, two dots, and then question dot question. Something like that. That should work. Okay, and then we can join them with just something like that. That should be enough. Oh, actually, I know. Yeah, this is not going to be easier to parse. So maybe if I parse it like this, it's going to be easier. Okay, it wasn't easier. Come on. Ah, this is it's harder than I thought. But
Live streaming.
yeah. Okay, maybe let's try like that. And then I can just replace this with this, and I believe that I have to do like that. Okay, that didn't work. Maybe I know, or I think that I know. Something like that, and then like this, for some reason. Okay, that worked, but I know I have a lot of bars at the end. I can remove them. Okay, that was more sketchy than I wanted, but yeah, I mean we managed to do it. Okay, so let's go back and let's use this as our knowledge base. So, and that is going to be dynamic, right? I just want it here so I can use it here. I will put that here, that this is my knowledge base, right? As we did with in the previous, I mean, tagging situations. I mean, we have this in code, and here we have the knowledge base and etc. Okay, so again,
That would be a great feature to have, that you
uh,
actually read from the knowledge base,
yeah,
and then if users ask something that is repeated, so it's frequent, it means it's a FAQ, it's a frequently asked question, so you can fill frequently asked question based on users' questions. That's
yeah,
great. That's great to have.
yeah. That would be actually an awesome solution. Yeah, we could explore actually that in some other offer workshops.
Mhm.
Okay, let's continue. So we have here the fact questions that we have in our application, and we are going to use that as knowledge base. And this is just an index, right? But yeah, we tag it like this because it's enough. I mean, the LLM handles everything like this. As it handles Spanish, it understands this as sloppy as it is. Okay, so you are an assistant, as we always start assistant. Task with finding the questions from the knowledge base that apply to the question asked by the user. And then we have to add this idea of you can only reply by using a JSON list of numbers. Right? Because what I want is to get these numbers. I mean, for example, if it asks these questions, right, what are the key functionalities, we could use this one, right, the two, for example. Maybe there is another one, but this, I guess that this should work. And it should reply something like that, right? And then that we can parse without any kind of explanation. So let's try to do that. I mean, you can only reply by using JSON list of numbers, and these numbers should be the indices of the questions in the knowledge. Play with that and see what happens. Okay, it worked a little bit. we have to add the important stuff.
You didn't get the JSON that you wanted.
Yeah. You can only reply in JSON. JSON with list numbers. Avoid giving any other text or explanation. Try there. Okay, that worked. Try with some other question. Let's see what is the one. Hello. Hello. How can I segment my base of contacts? I'm pointing to this one. Okay, it worked. And let's try to get what can you tell me about campaigns in FlowX? I know that there are several questions about this. So, okay, amazing.
Great.
Okay, that's it. Let's hope that this works. Yeah.
What if you ask something that is not covered on the FAQ section?
Really? I mean,
What's my
campaign.
favorite color? If you ask, what's my favorite color? What will happen?
Oh,
What will you do with that question?
your favorite. Oh, hey, that's amazing.
Okay. Great.
It works better than you expected.
Yeah, I didn't expect
You
that.
should, you should give credit to ChatGPT.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, so let's put this in the other completion. So here again we have the role system, and if you're seeing my screen, all the shadow text is because I'm running with Copilot, and yeah, it saves a lot of time sometimes. Now, since we are just writing text, it doesn't. But if we had to write code, that would be amazing. Yeah. So we have this over here, and of course that we don't need to add the right. We can just do import the fact here, and then do map, and this will be okay. There is Copilot for you. I don't have to do anything. It knows exactly what is I was going to write since I have the examples below. This is just amazing. But yeah, let me remove this, and I guess that's enough. It's adding. I don't know why it's adding two. I guess that's enough. Yeah, that should be it. Yeah, it makes sense. Okay, so knowledge base, and you're the etc. And of course, we have to add the messages below, right? Yeah, it added there. Okay, and after it replies, I parse it, right? I JSON parse it, so I have the indices, and then I filter the questions by the index. It makes sense.
Totally.
Okay, so now we have the following action.
Wouldn't you need to check reply length? It's always an array. Lines.
I mean, this is going to be a string here, and then we are going to parse it here. So
Got it. Yeah.
yeah, it could fail. Let's just try to do it like this, and then we can add maybe try catch and try to improve the prompts. But I guess for now we are okay. Okay. We only have 12 minutes, so let's try to rush it. Okay, so final query. What we need to now is to if we go back to the code, right, we have the next following action is going to be one of these three. Then we found the applicable questions. Actually, we could try let's continue and then we see it. Okay, we have the applicable questions. Sorry, I got excited because it's working. Um, we have the following action, the questions, and we build the context here, right, by just concatenating those answers, question and answer, with the ID and the answer, etc. And then, of course, that I have a lot of console logs. That's the way to debug, at least for me. And then we need to create the chat reply. So the chat reply, how we do that? Let's open another one. And this is going to be easier, right? Because this is what we know how to do. I mean, you're an assistant, again, as we always said. And then let's use this one, and let's put it over here also, and let's see the replay, because we are going to use everything here, so we can run it over here. Okay, you're an assistant task with answering answering the requests or the questions that the user has. Here we are not using any like JSON or any kind of formatting. We are just asking for questions, for replies, but you should base, but it has to base the answers into the chat history and also the context that we are going to be providing. So the context is going to be in the system message, right? The system message is going to be dynamic, as the second one was. So you should base your answers in the chat history and also in the context below. We're just putting context here, something like that. And we are going to use the second question here so we can mimic it, right? Let's copy this. And maybe I can go to the frequently asked questions, go to the second one. Yeah, this is it. So I can copy this and put it here. That will be the pretty much the idea. Okay.
You're going to be using the questions that the other part of the code give you, right? Like the
Exactly.
second prompt gives you the question and the answer, and you use that here as context.
Yeah, if you see here, I'm doing exactly what I did manually just there. I'm doing that here. I'm
Okay.
running all the applicable questions. I'm putting the ID, question, and then the answer below. So this is exactly what it will print, right? I mean, if you had more questions, it will put them in order over here. Let's see what the answer is. Okay, does it make sense?
Great.
Yeah.
Amazing. Let's try to use this and see what happens, if it works or if it fails. Okay, so and again, system message, so road system. I'm going to leave Copilot to do everything. Yeah. And now we are going to escape this. This context actually is not like that. I mean, we have to put the context that we built from here. This comes into that variable, so we put it like that. And then messages, we have to concatenate them over that. I guess that's it. Let's try. Let's try to run it. Wait, there is. Oh yeah, because we left this because we changed the else. Okay, so we have a lot of console logs, so we should be able to see. Okay, this is a real error. Yeah, that doesn't matter because it's a clip prop. We can avoid that. Okay, so let's try with this answer and see what happens. Are you ready?
Yeah.
To see this explode. Okay, let's send it. Okay, so let's go step by step, then we can do the reveal if it worked. But the question arrived. It put the prompt that we were using. The following action is the search knowledge base. Then the second system message with the questions of the knowledge base. And we have here the question, right? So applicable questions, the two is the one that we wanted. That's okay. Apparently replied. Okay, yeah, it worked. Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, it worked great.
Okay. Let's try with another one. Um, let's see. How can I segment my
Contacts.
info X? Just wait. Okay.
What if
Okay.
you write two questions in one? Is it already, is it ready to
I
reply?
mean, it should. I don't know if it's going to work because the
Right.
system's called uh, break. But let's try. Can you? I know that there are some visual aids in the answers. Let me check which one has an image, so we can bring that up. For example, yeah, is this about segmenting? Okay, can you provide some image to uh, okay. That's it. Let's see what happens. Um, System, your assistant says, and not the trace. Okay, and it says, how can I fragment, etc., etc., etc. Okay, following action. I'm sorry, as a language model, I don't have the capability. Okay, this one failed, but since we put the else, it continued, right? And it asked for the
So it's giving you a response. That's
yeah.
right. But what I wanted to test is what if you, in the same question, you
Uh-huh.
ask for two things. So you will have
Oh,
an array of two items.
okay. We can do that.
So
We
let's
can
try how ChatGPT is going to give you an answer, mixing those questions.
not ChatGPT. Oh, never hope. Yeah. Let's try that. So we have two answers, two questions. How can I also? But let's try some other question, right? Oh no, yeah, those are okay, I guess. Uh, let's try check what it's doing. Oh, it got the 8 that it has the image. So I guess yeah, that worked. Since we are in Markdown, it loaded it brought the image back. Yeah, and it got this information, then the segment, and then visualize the process, and there is the image. So it worked. Um, I mean, I have the prompts that you can interact with more than one image already coded. So maybe we can stash this and show that since we are just with little time. Yeah, let me go to the prompts over here. That's it, and I can show you the prompts that I had crafted before the meeting, and they go like this. I mean, they're the same. Maybe I have a little bit more wording on top that you can not give any explanations in response, etc. Then I have each one of the cases, search on the space, create incident, etc. And then I realized that whenever you start to have a lot of messages in the middle, right? Sometimes the LLM forgets what it has to do because it gets confused because you have a lot of messages in the middle that are from an assistant, right? And it takes those messages and as examples of what is going to be the next answer. So I added this message over here to make the LLM remember what are the instructions that it got at first, right? And it seemed to work. So yeah, this is another aid that I added here, and also for the filtering of the questions. So we can try this maybe, and let's see what happens. Let's try with the first question that we had, and this is going to work exactly as it did before, right? I mean, oh, and also in my prompts that I had here coded, you can see that um, the reply here, it says that you should use Markdown, right? And also that if you see any if you are quoting any text, you should put a link to go to the FAQ question, right? So here you have the link to that question, and you can open it and go there. And here's the source for the answer that it gave. For example, let's ask another question like, what is a mech? I see that that answer has that. That question has that. So okay. Do you have any reference for that? Okay, it failed. Yeah.
As you see here, a key concept working with prompts that we talk about it in our workshop is iteration. You have to keep iterating until you find the prompt that suits your desired answer or desired behavior, right? So in first try, it probably won't work, but if you keep trying, you will get what you want.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I guess we are running out of time. I guess that the idea around this workshop, we show it. We managed to show it in time. I guess for the following action around this idea is to try with embeddings what we can do, right? Instead of letting the LLM search in the knowledge base as with the index that we build, etc. We can use a vector database and with embeddings and try to search by meaning. That will be something that we can do. And also we have to try to create the tickets, right, using the LLM. I mean, because we didn't create these and fill these spaces, right? We have this create incident where we only reply this, but we have to take the action and actually go and create the ticket. So we need to ask the LLM to give us the title and the summary and etc. and the values that we need in order to create a ticket. So we can address that into a following workshop, maybe. Yeah. So, Fede, do we have any questions in the chat or something that we
I think no, we're okay.
Okay. So, final thoughts, guys?
For me, it was awesome. I thank you for your work. I don't know, Carlos, what do you think? But it was,
It's
I
excellent.
mean, yeah, it worked better than I expected from the first try because I know that this works, but on the first try, it was very good.
That's what I was going to tell you. This is a POC, but instead I asked you to do different things, and the system replied.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great, and I think that you're doing a great job. So congratulations. This is great.
Thank you, Carlos. I guess that maybe you can come back in the following workshop when we do
Sure.
this about the vector DB, etc. So yeah, let's hope to have you back here.
Okay.
So yeah, thank you guys again for another workshop, and I guess that we are going to see us in the following week or maybe the following with more content about AI. Thank you.
Okay. Thank
See
you
you
for your
guys.
time.
Congratulations.
See you. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.